This case sent shockwaves through the Chinese-American community in the 1990s, often dubbed the O.J. Simpson case of their circles. The harrowing events began on the night of August 18, 1993, when John, a white man, settled in to watch television, oblivious to the storm that was about to unfold. The NBA game had just concluded, leaving John in a state of frustration as his favorite team faced defeat. Lighting a cigarette, he prepared to retire for the night, but an urgent knock at the door jolted him from his thoughts. Surprised by the late hour, he wondered who could be visiting him at such an unsettling time. As he opened the door, he was met by an Asian man, his face a mask of terror. In heavily accented English, the man uttered a chilling statement. His wife had been murdered, and his son was missing. He begged to use John's phone to call the police. The crime had unfolded in a luxurious apartment located in the affluent western coastal area of Los Angeles, a region renowned for its breathtaking views and, in August, its oppressive heat. By 11:35 p.m., Officer Barron was dispatched to the scene, responding to a call regarding a homicide at an upscale residence in the southern part of the city. Just 5 minutes later, he arrived, stepping into a scene that would haunt him forever. Inside, he found a young Asian woman lying on her side on the living room sofa. Clad in a sleeveless black and white polka dot dress, she was barefoot, and her underwear had been pulled down to her thighs. A towel, soaked in blood, cradled her left shoulder. To the right of the sofa sat a baby bottle, an innocuous object now tainted by tragedy. Just as Barron prepared to investigate further, a sound caught his attention, footsteps echoing from upstairs. Drawing his weapon, he commanded the individual to come out. A man emerged, panic etched on his features. He identified himself as the homeowner, the very one who had called for help. He revealed that the woman downstairs was his wife and that their son was missing. Officer Barron promptly escorted the man to the police car, continuing his search of the apartment. In a chilling discovery, the officer found the missing son in a crib located in a bedroom on the second floor. The 5-month-old baby boy lay lifeless, his face obscured by a pillow, with a T-shirt stuffed into his mouth, a cruel fate shared with his mother. An autopsy would later reveal the woman had suffered 19 stab wounds from a sharp object, each one fatal. A defensive wound on her left arm indicated a fierce struggle for her life before the end. Tragically, the baby boy had met the same cruel fate as his mother, suffocating to death. Initial estimates suggested that the brutal crime occurred between 10 p.m. on August 17th and 3 a.m. on August 18th, a narrow window of horror. The identities of the victims were quickly established. The woman, known as Ji Bang in Chinese, was identified by her English name, Jennifer G. She was just 25 years old. The baby boy was her son, named Kevin, who had just celebrated his 5-month birthday. The man claiming to be the husband and father was Jim Peng, a prominent Taiwanese businessman, famously known as the King of Electronics. At 50 years old, Jim Peng was a figure of success. He owned a thriving Taiwanese electronics company with branches spanning San Diego, Singapore, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Qingdao. In the 1990s, his company boasted annual revenues between $40 to $50 million, a staggering sum that positioned him as a bona fide billionaire. At the time of the tragedy, Jennifer was his mistress, and Kevin was their son. Investigators would soon uncover the complex web of relationships and secrets surrounding this heartbreaking case. Standing at 5 feet 8 inches tall, Jennifer Ji Bang possessed a slender figure and captivating beauty, radiating an extraordinary aura. Born to an architect father and a doctor mother, she enjoyed a privileged upbringing, complemented by a solid education. Her athletic prowess shone through as she claimed the runner-up position in tennis at the prestigious Chinese National Student Games. In September 1989, Jennifer graduated with a degree in marine chemistry. After navigating several rounds of rigorous interviews, she secured a coveted position as an assistant manager in the public relations and business department at the esteemed Qingdao Hotel. This role was regarded as both prestigious and well compensated during that era. On August 4, 1990, fate intervened when Jim Peng arrived in Qingdao for a trade fair. It was at a banquet that he first laid eyes on Jennifer and was instantly captivated by her beauty. Despite being a married man with 2 sons, Jim found himself drawn to Jennifer, spending the next 3 days by her side. Before departing for Taiwan, Jennifer presented Jim with a white T-shirt, a token of their fleeting connection. Once back in Taiwan, their conversations became a daily ritual, and their relationship intensified with each passing day. 2 months later, in October 1990, Jim extended an invitation to Jennifer to join him at a trade fair in Shanghai. In a heartfelt letter, he expressed, "Your youth and energy are unforgettable to me. Every night I dream of us meeting again." Enclosed with the letter were $300 and 2 designer dresses, symbols of his affection. As time passed, their bond deepened, evolving into a romantic relationship. By January 1991, Jennifer made the significant decision to leave her job in Shanghai, becoming Jim's assistant and executive secretary at his Shanghai branch. In October 1991, Jim orchestrated a new chapter for Jennifer, arranging for her to study finance management and marketing in San Diego, USA. Upon her return to China in March 1992, Jim opened a new branch in Shanghai and appointed Jennifer as the general manager. In August 1992, Jennifer discovered she was pregnant. Jim swiftly took action, applying for a B-1 visa to ensure she could give birth in the United States. He rented a luxurious apartment in Mission Viejo, California, providing Jennifer with a serene environment to rest and prepare for motherhood. On March 16, 1993, Jennifer welcomed a baby boy into the world. During this pivotal time, Jim's visits were infrequent, as he only managed to see her 2 to 3 times, each visit lasting 4 to 5 days before he unexpectedly departed again. In a tragic twist of fate, Jim's arrival on this occasion was met with unimaginable horror. He found the lifeless bodies of his lover and their child. According to Jim, his trip to the U.S. was a sudden decision, with a plane ticket purchased hastily at the Hong Kong airport just before his departure. Jim's journey began with his arrival in San Francisco at 10 a.m. on August 18th, followed by a continued trip to Los Angeles. He reached Jennifer's apartment around 2:30 p.m. While still at the airport in Hong Kong, he had called Jennifer upon arriving in San Francisco. He attempted to call her again, but this time there was no response. Upon arriving at the apartment, he rang the doorbell, but there was silence from within. With no key to gain entry, he approached the building's management office, seeking assistance. However, the staff informed him that his name was not listed as a resident, and therefore they could not provide him with a key. Exhausted from his long journey, Jim took a moment to rest and even dozed off in the management office. Upon waking, he returned to Jennifer's apartment and rang the doorbell once more, but again, no one answered. Desperate, he left a note that read, "Bing, when you get home, come to the management office." As the day unfolded on that fateful evening in 1993, communication was a challenge. Mobile phones were not yet a common tool, making it difficult for one to reach out to another. By 5:30 p.m., the management staff was preparing to leave for the day. Jim Peng, filled with unease, returned to the door of Jennifer G. Bang's apartment. By 11 p.m., with still no sign of Jennifer, a gnawing fear took hold of Jim Peng. He knew Jennifer well, and it was uncharacteristic for her to stay out this late without explanation. With a growing sense of dread, he pushed the door open, only to be met with an alarming sight. The door was ajar. Inside, he found Jennifer lifeless, cold on the sofa. Panic surged through him as he bolted from the apartment, racing to the neighbor's house to borrow a phone and summon the police. This frantic call marked the beginning of a harrowing tale that would shake the community of Mission Viejo to its core. When news of the crime broke, residents were left in a state of shock. Mission Viejo was a secure, affluent area, where such brutal acts were virtually unheard of. The case took a sensational turn due to the tangled web of relationships among those involved. A billionaire had been secretly hiding his mistress and their child in the U.S., just days before their tragic deaths. To complicate matters further, the billionaire's wife was also in town, residing merely 3 miles from where the murders occurred. Who could have committed such a heinous act? The revelations stirred a storm of gossip and speculation within the local community, particularly among the Chinese residents. Daily conversations buzzed with theories as neighbors became amateur sleuths. Some pointed fingers at Jim Peng. After all, why would he wait outside for 8.5 hours without trying to enter the apartment? Moreover, a phone lay inside the home. Why had he chosen to run to the neighbors to call for help? Questions loomed large. Could he have used that time to commit the unthinkable, meticulously cleaning the crime scene before feigning shock? Motives arose in whispers. Perhaps Jennifer had pressured him to marry her, a demand that clashed with his unwillingness to leave his wife. In a desperate act, would he have silenced her? But then came the haunting question. Why would he also harm his own child? Adding to the complexity, Jim Peng had arrived in Los Angeles at 2 p.m. on August 18th, while the police estimated the time of death to be between the night of August 17th and the early hours of August 18th, casting doubt on the timeline against him. Others theorized that the killer may have been a man captivated by Jennifer's beauty. Upon discovering her body, investigators noted her underwear had been removed, suggesting a potential assault. Had this stranger acted on impulse, fulfilling a twisted desire before committing murder? Yet, the autopsy revealed a lack of male DNA, and evidence hinted that the positioning of the underwear might have been orchestrated by the murderer, raising further questions. Accusations also fell on Lisa Peng, Jim's wife. Some speculated she might have uncovered her husband's affair and the existence of a child, leading her to a rage-fueled act of vengeance. The timing of her arrival seemed too coincidental, further muddying the waters of this dark mystery. The autopsy results shocked investigators, revealing no male DNA at the scene. Additionally, the positioning of the underwear suggested a deliberate attempt by the murderer to mislead. In the wake of this revelation, suspicions began to swirl around Lisa Peng, the wife of Jim Peng. Many believed that she had unearthed her husband's affair, a betrayal that extended far beyond mere infidelity, culminating in the discovery of a child born from his relationship with his mistress in the United States. This revelation ignited a fierce rage within Lisa, raising the chilling possibility that she could have resorted to murder. The timing of her arrival in the U.S. appeared too coincidental, prompting the question, who was the real killer? A meticulous examination of the crime scene was essential to uncover the truth. The police gathered pivotal pieces of evidence that would shape the investigation. Among the findings was a single brown hair, starkly contrasting with the black hair of Jennifer G. Bang, the mistress. A shirt button was also discovered near the bedroom door, one that did not belong to either Jennifer or her son, raising further questions about the events that transpired that fateful night. The investigation deepened when a kitchen knife was found hidden beneath the sofa, mere inches from where Jennifer lay. A light bite mark on Jennifer's left arm, coupled with a saliva sample collected from the scene, hinted at a violent struggle. Bloodstains painted a horrifying picture. A fan-shaped bloodstain on the floor near the apartment door, and a smaller oval-shaped stain outside the door indicated that Jennifer had been attacked the moment she opened her door. A blood trail led ominously from the carpet inside, revealing the chaotic aftermath of the assault. A kitchen knife lay ominously beneath the sofa where Jennifer G. Bang had been found. A light bite mark marred Jennifer's left arm, and a saliva sample was taken for further analysis. Near the apartment door, a fan-shaped bloodstain painted a harrowing scene, alongside a smaller oval-shaped stain on the door itself. The evidence suggested that Jennifer had been attacked the moment she opened the door. A gruesome blood trail snaked from inside the apartment, marking the carpet with a chilling testimony of violence. The blood trail stretched across the sofa and up to the exterior of the door, roughly 3 inches off the ground. Blood also splattered onto a baby swing positioned near the bathroom door. Despite extensive analysis, the hair samples collected did not match any individuals connected to the case. Investigators struggled to trace the origin of several shirt buttons found at the scene. Although the kitchen knife bore similarities to the wounds inflicted on Jennifer, it lacked fingerprints or blood traces, rendering it an inconclusive piece of evidence. The only glimmer of hope lay in the bite mark on Jennifer's arm. The recovered saliva sample proved to be pivotal. In a detailed comparison, forensic experts determined that the bite mark matched the dental impressions of Lisa Peng, the wife of Jim Peng. Yet, caution loomed. The margin of error remained significant. A definitive match would require DNA from the saliva sample to be compared with Lisa Peng's DNA. Unfortunately, the sample contained a minuscule amount of DNA, casting doubt on whether it would suffice for testing. After months of meticulous examination, forensic experts finally announced a breakthrough. The DNA from the saliva on Jennifer's arm matched Lisa Peng's DNA. However, by then, Lisa was back home in Taiwan, far from the grasp of American authorities. The question lingered. How could U.S. authorities extradite her from Taiwan? This legal dilemma posed a significant challenge. On January 1, 1994, Jim Peng received a call from the Los Angeles police. They requested his return to the U.S. to discuss a reward for information leading to the killer's capture, suggesting that Lisa accompany him. Previously, in light of the stagnant investigation, Jim had proposed offering a reward for any leads, yet the police had advised him to hold off. Now, they cleverly utilized the reward as a reason to invite him back, bringing his wife along under the guise of cooperation. Although Lisa was initially reluctant, Jim insisted they must clear her name. So, the couple boarded a plane to the U.S., and by January 5, 1994, they arrived in Los Angeles. Upon reaching their hotel, forensic experts swiftly took 5 cubic centimeters of Lisa Peng's blood, likely for another DNA test. 2 days later, on January 7th, police summoned Jim Peng to bring his wife and their 2 sons to the station for questioning. It was important to note that Jim's 2 sons were studying in the U.S. and residing in the family's mansion. Jim and Lisa often visited the U.S. for short stays to see their children. On the morning of January 8th, Jim Peng, joined by his wife and 2 sons, arrived at the Mission Viejo police station, where they were all subjected to lie detector tests. 3 of them passed, but Lisa Peng failed continuously. At 2 p.m., the police initiated a private interrogation with Lisa. She vehemently denied any knowledge of Jennifer's whereabouts. When pressed about an injury on her left leg noticed during a prior visit, Lisa claimed she had simply fallen at home. Witnesses could have provided crucial testimony, including Lisa Peng's younger son, yet during his lie detector test, he claimed not to remember the incident. As the clock struck 6:30 p.m., the police made a significant announcement. Lisa Peng was under arrest. Lisa Peng's story began in the modest streets of Tainan. Born into a family that struggled to make ends meet. With her father gone too soon, she was one of 6 sisters and 2 brothers, carrying the weight of responsibility as the second eldest. 2 decades prior, alongside her mother, Lisa worked at a foreign electronics company where fate intertwined her life with Jim Peng, a fellow Taiyuan native and friend of a colleague. Jim, though of short stature, possessed a strength and ambition that drew her in. As their romance blossomed, Lisa learned of Jim's dream to launch his own electronics company, a vision he struggled to fund. Determined to help, she peddled through the city, borrowing money from family and friends to kickstart their future. With the initial funds secured, they both left their jobs and plunged into entrepreneurship. In those booming days of the electronics industry, their small workshop quickly expanded, evolving into a vast enterprise with branches throughout Taiwan and beyond, eventually becoming a multinational corporation. Their success was a testament to their joint effort. Jim Peng later acknowledged, "My wife contributed greatly to my career in the company." While Jim served as chairman, Lisa held the pivotal role of chief financial officer during their early years in Taiwan. After long days at work, the couple would come home to discuss their shared aspirations. However, as their empire grew, Jim began traveling frequently for business, while Lisa remained in Taiwan, pouring her energy into their company. Despite over 2 decades of marriage, whispers of infidelity never reached Lisa's ears. She placed unwavering trust in Jim until a fateful business trip to Qingdao in 1990 changed everything. That evening, while assisting Jim with his luggage, Lisa stumbled upon a woman's t-shirt tucked away in the suitcase. The collar bore a lipstick stain, a haunting reminder of a reality she was yet to grasp. It was the same shirt Jennifer had gifted Jim, a memento of their connection. At that moment, Lisa was oblivious to Jennifer's existence. When she confronted Jim about the shirt, he shrugged it off, claiming it was a gift from someone. Lisa, puzzled and hurt, pressed further. "This shirt is so small, how could it fit you? Why would they give it to you?" "And what of the lipstick stain?" Jim dismissed her concerns, suggesting it was merely business etiquette, urging her not to worry. With no concrete proof of infidelity, Lisa reluctantly let the matter rest. Days later, while reviewing the company's phone records, Lisa discovered a pattern of calls from Jim's office to a number in Qingdao, a revelation that shattered her sense of security and unveiled Jennifer's existence. Lisa Peng, unable to confront the painful truth of her husband's infidelity, initially dismissed her suspicions for lack of concrete evidence. However, a few days later, a routine review of the company's phone bills would shatter her complacency. Calls were being made almost daily from Jim's office to a number in Qingdao, igniting a firestorm of realization. That's when Lisa discovered Jennifer's existence, her heart sinking under the weight of betrayal. In a tense series of confrontations, Lisa Peng met Jennifer on 3 separate occasions before the tragic murder. Their first encounter took place in April 1991, when Jennifer had ascended to the role of assistant general manager at Jim Peng's Shanghai branch. With a sense of foreboding, Lisa traveled to Shanghai, determined to confront the woman entwined in her husband's life. They shared a conversation, the exact details of which remain shrouded in mystery, but the air was thick with tension as they parted ways. The second encounter unfolded in the United States, where Jim had arranged for Jennifer to study while living in the family's mansion. One fateful day, Lisa made a desperate phone call from Taiwan, only to have Jennifer answer, her fury palpable. Without hesitation, Lisa booked a flight to the U.S., and upon her arrival, was confronted by a shocking sight. Her husband and his mistress cohabitating in the home she had thought was her sanctuary, Jennifer's clothes ominously hanging in her bedroom closet. The second chapter of this tale unfolded in the United States. By this time, Jim Peng had orchestrated a plan for Jennifer G. Bang to study in the U.S., allowing her to reside in the family's opulent mansion. One fateful day, Lisa Peng, calling from Taiwan, reached out to her home in the U.S., unaware of the tempest brewing within her walls. When Jennifer answered the call, her fury was palpable, igniting a chain reaction that would lead Lisa to promptly book a flight to the U.S. Upon her arrival, the shocking reality struck her like a thunderbolt. She discovered her husband and his mistress cohabitating under her roof, Jennifer's clothes ominously hanging in the bedroom closet that was once solely hers. Consumed by rage, Lisa Peng unleashed her fury, viciously slashing through Jennifer's clothing with a knife. Witnesses later recounted a chilling moment when Jim Peng, in a brutal display of dominance, slapped Lisa in front of Jennifer, an act that would resonate through the halls of their lives. The saga continued in Qingdao, even after Jennifer completed her studies in the U.S. Despite her return to Qingdao, Jim Peng established a new company, appointing Jennifer as its general manager. In a desperate bid to reclaim her husband, Lisa Peng journeyed to Shanghai, demanding that Jennifer distance herself from Jim. However, her pleas fell on deaf ears, and she ultimately returned to Taiwan, heartbroken and alone, her dreams shattered. Following Lisa Peng's arrest, Jim Peng, in a show of unwavering support, addressed reporters declaring, "I trust my wife. She is kind-hearted and would never commit such an act." He vowed to secure the finest legal representation for her. On May 24, 1995, the Mission Viejo District Court convened, marking the beginning of a trial that would grip the nation. Jim Peng spared no expense, hiring Marshal Schulman, one of the most esteemed criminal defense attorneys in the United States, to represent Lisa. At 67 years old, Schulman brought a wealth of experience to the case, which would unfold over nearly 2 tumultuous years, from initial hearings to appeals. In this high-stakes courtroom drama, crucial evidence emerged. Aside from the DNA findings, the prosecution wielded a powerful weapon in the form of an audio recording, one that would dramatically steer the trial's trajectory. On the day Jim Peng's family was subjected to lie detector tests, a private conversation between him and Lisa was recorded, unbeknownst to them. The police, unable to understand Chinese, captured this conversation on tape. During the exchange, while she never directly confessed to murdering Jennifer, Lisa did admit to having met her and engaging in a physical confrontation. She claimed that in a tragic twist of fate, Jennifer had accidentally fallen onto a knife, leading to her untimely demise. Attorney Schulman immediately contested the admissibility of this recording, arguing that it was obtained through an illegal wiretap. However, prosecutor Robert Molko countered assertively, stating that the presence of police officers during the conversation nullified any claim of privacy, rendering the recording admissible under California law. While Lisa Peng did not explicitly confess to the murder of Jennifer, she did recount a harrowing physical altercation between them. In a chilling account, she claimed that Jennifer had accidentally fallen onto a knife during their struggle, resulting in her untimely death. This startling confession did not go unchallenged. Attorney Marshal Schulman immediately objected, asserting that the police had obtained this private conversation through illegal wiretapping, rendering it inadmissible in court. The defense argued vehemently that the police had resorted to an illegal wiretap to capture a private conversation, rendering it inadmissible in court. Yet, prosecutor Robert Molko countered with conviction, asserting that because police officers were present during the exchange, it was far from private, eliminating any concerns regarding wiretapping legality. Molko further emphasized that California had established legal precedent where similar recordings had been deemed admissible. He was resolute in his stance that the recordings in this case would hold up in court. In a twist of strategy, the defense turned to the DNA evidence, with Marshal Schulman highlighting that a bite mark alone did not equate to guilt. Schulman deftly exploited the prosecution's vulnerabilities, noting that there was no direct evidence linking Lisa Peng to the murder scene. He claimed the DNA match was inconsequential, revealing that on August 17th, the day before Jennifer's body was discovered, Lisa had indeed visited her apartment. An argument ensued, culminating in Lisa biting Jennifer's left arm before departing. At that time, Jennifer was still alive, even having made a phone call to a friend at 3:30 p.m. Schulman painted a vivid picture, describing Lisa as petite, standing at less than 5 feet 3 inches, and raised a compelling question. How could she have overpowered and ultimately killed someone as tall and strong as Jennifer? At that time, Jennifer was still alive. In fact, she had reached out to a friend with a phone call at 3:30 p.m. Schulman highlighted Lisa's petite frame, standing less than 5 feet 3 inches tall, casting doubt on how she could have overpowered and killed Jennifer, who towered over her at 5 feet 8 inches and was known for her athleticism. Schulman then introduced his own chilling theory regarding the identity of the true killer. He speculated that Jennifer met her tragic end around 2 p.m. on August 18th, pointing the finger at none other than Jim Peng, her husband. His reasoning stemmed from a series of suspicious actions exhibited by Jim Peng that day, such as lingering outside the door for 8.5 hours and making a phone call from the neighbor's house. At this point, one might wonder, didn't the police initially state that the time of death fell between 10 p.m. on August 17th and 3 a.m. on August 18th? Why was Schulman now asserting that it occurred at 2 p.m.? Schulman clarified that the high temperatures in Mission Viejo during August could have affected the body, potentially leading forensic experts to misestimate the time of death. As the courtroom drama unfolded, prosecutor Robert Molko called upon Jennifer's older sister to testify, inquiring about Jennifer's daily showering habits. One might ask, why was this relevant? Upon confirmation that Jennifer did indeed shower daily, Molko pointed out, if Jennifer showered every day, and if the bite mark on her arm occurred in the afternoon on August 17th, then when she showered that evening, the saliva on the bite would have been washed away. How then could residual saliva be found when her body was discovered on August 18th? Schulman quickly countered, suggesting that what her sister remembered might be outdated. What her sister recalls is Jennifer's habit from a year ago. Who knows if, after having a baby, Jennifer maintained her daily showering routine. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the prosecutor and defense attorney clashed relentlessly, neither willing to yield. Outside the courtroom, a divide emerged within the Chinese community. One faction believed the murderer deserved severe punishment. Despite Jennifer's role in the affair, which many deemed shameful, they argued that this was still a homicide. Jennifer and her child were victims in this tragic narrative, and Lisa Peng, suspected of murder, must face the legal system's consequences. Conversely, another faction viewed Jennifer as greedy, seducing Jim Peng without regard for morality. They contended that Lisa Peng acted out of a protective instinct for her family and deserved compassion. Advocates for harsh punishment rallied together, submitting petitions with signatures to the judge, demanding justice according to the law. Meanwhile, women who empathized with Lisa Peng traveled great distances to the courthouse, holding signs that urged the judge to protect Lisa and allow her to reunite with her family. Then, on September 18, 1995, meanwhile, a group of women rallied in solidarity with Lisa Peng, driving miles to the courthouse, brandishing signs that pleaded for the judge to protect her and facilitate a reunion with her family. The atmosphere was tense as the trial reached a critical juncture on September 18, 1995, moving into closing arguments from both the prosecution and defense. Prosecutor Robert Molko was the first to present his case. He unveiled the harrowing details of the crime, revealing that Jennifer had been stabbed 18 times, and tragically, her baby had been strangled to death. The infant had suffered, gasping for breath for as long as 5 minutes before succumbing, painting a horrifying picture that suggested the killer was driven by an extreme rage, one that could only belong to Lisa Peng. Molko explained that Lisa's jealousy and anger towards Jennifer had escalated. When she discovered that Jennifer had given birth, Knowing that the child would inherit a share of the staggering $200 million estate alongside her two sons, Lisa's fury surged to a deadly crescendo. The question loomed: how did Lisa Peng learn of Jennifer's whereabouts? Molko connected the dots back to July 1993, when Jim Peng had made a call from their home in Taiwan to Jennifer. Lisa had seen the number on the bill and called it back, during which Jennifer had shared details about her new life, complete with a swimming pool and luxurious comforts. In a pivotal moment, prosecutor Robert Molko highlighted a key detail from July 1993. Jim Peng had made a phone call from their home in Taiwan to Jennifer G. Bang. When Lisa saw the number on the phone bill, curiosity piqued. She called it back. On the line, Jennifer casually mentioned living in a luxurious place with a swimming pool, a life that seemed far removed from Lisa's own. This revelation ignited a spark in Lisa Peng. Determined to confront Jennifer, she boarded a flight to the United States, eager to arrange a meeting. Under the cover of night on August 17th, after her children were sound asleep, Lisa made her way to Jennifer's apartment. Jennifer, anticipating a negotiation, had even taken the time to do her makeup. But as she opened the door, her expectations shattered. Without warning, she was ambushed, the warmth of her home turning instantly cold. When defense attorney Marshall Schulman took the stand, he directed the jury's attention towards Jim Peng as the potential perpetrator. He leaned heavily on the police theory that Jennifer had arranged this late-night meeting with Lisa, arguing that Jennifer, known for her caution, would never invite an adversary into her home at such an hour. The closing arguments unfolded over an exhaustive 8 hours. In a compelling plea, Schulman asked the jury to see Lisa Peng as innocent. Yet, the trial concluded without resolution, as two female jurors stood firm in their belief that Lisa was not guilty. By April 1996, the Mission Viejo Superior Court reopened the case. This time, the jury delivered a unanimous verdict, finding Lisa Peng guilty of murder. The judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Despite her conviction, Lisa continued to fight against the verdict, appealing tirelessly. On September 30th, 1999, a twist emerged when the California Court of Appeal ruled that the audio recording collected by Mission Viejo police during the investigation was illegal. The court determined that it had been obtained unlawfully, rendering it inadmissible as evidence. This decision led to the overturning of Lisa Peng's life sentence without parole, sending the case back to the Mission Viejo Superior Court for a retrial. During this new trial, Lisa's defense team spared no expense, hiring the esteemed pathology expert Dr. Michael Baden and forensic scientist Dr. Henry Lee. Dr. Henry Lee revealed a crucial piece of evidence overlooked by the police: a large handprint discovered on a blood-stained pillow on the sofa. The size of this handprint suggested it belonged to a man, implying the presence of a third party at the crime scene. In a surprising turn, the police had even suspected that Lisa Peng's eldest son might have been there that fateful night, a conjecture that could explain how the petite Lisa had overpowered the taller Jennifer. However, this remained mere speculation, with no solid evidence to support the theory of the son's presence. As the trial progressed, it emerged that police had suspected Lisa Peng's eldest son might have been present at the crime scene, a possibility that could explain how Lisa, with her smaller frame, could have overpowered the taller Jennifer. However, this theory remained speculative, lacking any concrete evidence to substantiate the son's alleged presence. The defense dismissed the DNA evidence put forth by the police. They contended that while it indeed indicated Lisa Peng's presence at the scene during the time of the crime, it fell short of definitively proving that she had taken Jennifer's life. On June 29, 2002, nearly a decade after the fateful event, the retrial verdict was announced. Judge William Froberg presided over the proceedings, revealing the court's decision, which stemmed from a plea agreement reached between Lisa Peng's defense and the prosecution. Considering Lisa's commendable behavior during her incarceration, the court sentenced her to 11 years in prison. However, with 7 years already served since her arrest in 1994, she became eligible for release. The court ultimately consented to her release in the fall, with plans for her deportation back to Taiwan by U.S. immigration. With this conclusion of the case, the details of Lisa Peng's life post-release remained elusive, shrouded in mystery, leaving many unanswered questions lingering in the air. Rumors swirled following her return to Taiwan. Some claimed she had divorced Jim Peng, while others insisted that the couple remained together, finding a semblance of normalcy in their lives. Yet the true details of her life after prison remain elusive. This case, which unfolded alongside the infamous O.J. Simpson trial, was marked by strikingly clear evidence at the crime scene and a formidable legal team. The unexpected outcome left many in disbelief, earning it the moniker of the O.J. Simpson case of the Chinese community. As the dust settled, questions lingered. Was Lisa Peng truly the mastermind behind the events that transpired? Was the final verdict just? We invite you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.